Hello, Rabbi.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, good morning, everybody, and good morning, Janusz. That's all. Janusz is included in the everybody. We still want him to feel a little special. We still want him to think that
Thank
we
you.
we miss him, which happens to be the truth. Okay, so um, let's take a look at Parshas Shlach. Whoa. Now, I always say the Parsha Shlach doesn't get easier from year to year. Now, it's very easy for us to be a Monday morning quarterback, Leo Bowski or somebody else. Could somebody please explain to Janusz what a Monday morning quarterback is? I don't know if you grew up with this in Poland. Oh, yeah, Shiur doesn't know too much either. What a Monday morning. Oh, look at that. Okay. And I'm not into football. But Monday morning quarterback means that the game took place on Sunday and people are arguing, oh, yeah, what they could have, should have done, how it could have been different. They could have won, etc. They shouldn't have won. Okay, good, good. So that's a Monday morning quarterback. It's very easy for us to say, how could they do this? How could they do this? After all, come on. I don't want to make the case strong, but this is probably one of the most difficult parts of our Torah because, after all, the relationship between the Jewish people and the land of Israel is so different from any other relationship. In other words, if you take French people who were born in France. So their attachment to the land is because they're they were born in France, they're familiar with it, the topography, the land itself, okay? They know the parents were there, their grandparents were there, the roots are there. So they feel comfortable in France. If and when they are removed from their land, for whatever the reason, after one or two, for sure, three generations, they forgot what France was all about, and wherever they are now, they've adjusted to a new land. Amazing. Lashana haba b'Yerushalayim, which is something that we say, is something that they said. And for almost 2,000 years, we've been longing for a land. What's wrong? And okay, so we know that part of this, if you think about it, has been Hashem pulling the strings that whenever we got too comfortable, this is what our history repeated himself again and again and again. Whenever we became too comfortable in any land. So take Spain. Whoa, at one time there was a golden age of Spain. What does that term mean? Golden age. It means that the Jewish community in Spain were, wow, they were wealthy, they were respected, and they were, quote, forgive me, on top of the world. And lest the Jewish people completely assimilate with the land of Spain, Hashem has his ways of, right, providing a, I don't like any of these words, but what we call a pogrom, what we call an inquisition, what we call anything to completely shake us up, to completely get us out of the land, and we move on. And the same thing repeats itself again and again and again. So that's why that pasuk in the Torah. Sorry, if there's a chemist who's listening to this, Shiur now. I'm sorry the Torah doesn't say study chemistry, and the Torah doesn't say study physics, but the Torah does say, come on, everybody, take a look in Ha'azinu, right? Whereby the Torah tells us at the very bottom of page 1100, verse 7, Zachor Yemos Olam. Remember the days of old. okay? Binu, understand, right? Bina, to understand. Shnos, dor v'dor, understand the years of generation after generation. In simple English, what does this mean? The Torah says, study history, okay? Now, take a look in the Rashi. What does that mean, study history, okay? So Rashi says, Me'asa Barishonim, look what happened in prior generations, Shech Isu Lefanov, right? Meaning that they angered God. By their behavior, they angered Hashem. And now watch. Binu Shnos Dover Dor, Rashi says, Dor Enosh. Take a look. Now, Enosh was, remember, Adam's grandson. So already in the days of Adam Harishon's grandson, wow, which is an incredible thing, right? What does that mean? Adam, Cain, right? And what do you have? Shase, which is one of Adam's sons, his son Enosh, that's it. They were ready, Vayikra b'Shem Hashem, they called and they were ready, fell into Avodah Zarah. How that happens is not our discussion for the moment, but there's already a problem in the very beginning of time. Excuse me. And take a look. Dor Hamabel, Sheshitvam. Take a look. Remember, there is accountability for our actions. They sinned, they were washed away. We're to learn a lesson from that. Okay? Here. And Davar Acher, another message to understand this pasuk is Lo nesatem levavchem al she'avar. You didn't pay enough attention to the past. Binu, understand. There's a lesson of history. Shnos dor v'dor, lahakir, in order to recognize lehaba, the future. Sheyesh biyodo lehitiv lochem, God has the ability to make it good for you. Ulhanchil lochem yemos hamashiach. Wow, and He can bring about an amazing. Remember, Rashi lived almost 1,000 years ago. This is so exciting that Rashi writes that remember everybody, remember every generation. Hashem has the ability to bring to us to Yemos HaMashiach. I don't believe I have Hershon, the teacher's edition. So all of you, just make a note of page 1100, right, in the Art Scroll Chumashim, the bottom line, left-hand column in the Rashi, Vil Olam Haba. Now, this is such an important part because if I were to ask anybody, even Janusz, like what's going on in Eretz Yisrael today? So I don't know. It's not just, quote, strange things are happening, which for sure, strange things are happening, that you can see little David literally attacking Goliath. Whoa, whoa. And it looks like, Bali Ayin Hara, we have given them a significant patch that we have to suffer the loss of any lives and injury and casualties, etc. Lo aleinu. This is part of what it means to go to war. And really, those people who, lo aleinu, lose their lives as a result of missiles coming from the enemy, this is part of the process of moving Jewish history along. And really, what we said on the night of the Pesach Seder, Bidomayach Chayi, whoa. And every time we have a bris, this is what the moil says, or when they name the baby, it's included as part of the naming, that this whole idea, Bidomayach, with your blood, Chayi, you literally acquire life. And this is so counterintuitive. We can't explain it, but we can't explain. Bereshis bara Elokim. How does God create a world from nothing? We can't explain that the Jewish people are still here and thriving, okay? But it means that we're constantly on our toes. Okay, having given this introduction, we have to take a look at Parshas Shlach, and um, I'm afraid that any way we look at it, you have to understand that, first of all, let me just show you. It's interesting that if somebody doesn't know the story at all, okay, I'm 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 learning it for the first time. So what does it say? Take a look, 798, beginning of the parsha, by Daber Hashem el Moshe Lemor. So I'm troubled because again, if I'm going to touch every word, why Vaydaber, which is Lashon Kosher, right? It should be Vayomer because it's optimistic. We're about to go into the land of Canaan, right? And so, fair enough, God says to Moshe, Shlach lecha anoshim, every word. Shlach anoshim would have been enough. Send men. And by the way, Shira, I hope you are listening, and you'll tell it to all your friends, not to say that you don't have any friends of the other gender, but Shlach lecha anoshim, you should know that there's a delicious clay yakar, okay, on this verse that says that Moshe, what was his mistake? He sent Anoshim, men. Had he sent women, now you're going to say to me, come on, it's not the nature of women. But even that we're going to talk about in a few moments about, quote, the nature. So, Shlach L'cha Anoshim, send men, V'yasuru, and they shall. Now, interesting, we're going to put on our gloves in a minute and take on Art Scroll and question the word spy. Let them spy out the land of Canaan that I give to the children of Israel. One man each from his father's tribe shall you send, everyone a leader among them. Okay, so first of all, what's wrong? So Moshe's first mistake was that he sent women. Women had greater faith in Hashem, in come on, in a greater love for the land, and that's the first thing. Want to see more on that? Look in the Klei Yakar. But now let's go slowly. If all I have is chapter 13 in the book of Bamidbar, whose idea was this in the first place? Come on, what do you want from me? It's all Hashem's fault. Shlach lecha anoshim, send men, and let them be yosuru es Eretz Canaan. And again, I put that word spy in quotation marks. Okay, so I'm going to show you something, and I'm not going to pull out a book from one of my bookcases, and blow some dust off the top of the book. No, 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 no. I'm going to take you to the book of Devarim. Let's go the very beginning of the book of Devarim, whereby Moshe is speaking to the next generation that's about to go into Eretz Yisrael because they've spent 40 years in the desert. And take a look, watch. So you are on page 944, yeah, Shlishi. So take a look at the beginning of 944, starting with Pasuk 22. Let's do the English, just to save time. All of you approached me and said, let us send men ahead of us and, come on, whoa, v'yachpru lanu, Whoa. And that's very interesting because in the beginning of Shlach on 798, remember it says V'yasuru, and this is V'yachperu. And there's a third word I want to throw into the hopper, and that is V'yaraglu. Whoa. Now, what's going on here? So, Art Scroll is consistent with one word: spy out the land for us, bring back to us the road on which we should ascend, the cities to which we should come. And the idea was good in my eyes. So I took from you 12 men, one from each tribe. They turned and ascended the mountain and came upon the village of this valley of Eshcol, spied it out. And what's that word again? Ayaraglu. Ooh, Meraglim. That's a different word than we have Vyasuru. And if you think I'm playing with semantics, the answer is no, I am not. I'm going to try to build a case which was built by Rabbi Soloveitchik, and I think you'll hear, if you stay with me, nothing less than a brilliant idea, something a little bit novel. I wish it could change the outcome. It's not like all of a sudden I'm going to teach you something and no, 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 no. This happened. No question about it. Out of the 12, 10 come back with a bad report. I can't change that. And the people, unfortunately, listen to the 10 bad, we'll call them spies or scouts, and you'll see why I'm not playing with uh, semantics. I'll get there in a minute. But the idea is it's not all's well that ends well, just the opposite. As a result of this, we know we are confined to 40 years in the desert. But now the question is, what's going on here? So the obvious question that we have to ask is, wait a minute. If God, you'll take my word for it, I'm not going to go back at chapter 3 in Shmos, but chapter 3 in Shmos, Moshe's at the burning bush, and there God tells Moshe, even before he goes to Paro, listen here, Mo, this is the game plan, right? I'm going to take them out. I'm going to bring them to, quote, this mountain, meaning Har Sinai. I'm going to give them the Torah, and then we're going to the, quote, promised land. We're going to the land flowing with milk and honey. Whoa. So, come on, Isla. Isla says, wait a second. God takes them out. That's pretty impressive, right? 10 plagues affect Egyptians, don't affect the Israelites. And then we have splitting of the Red Sea, and then we have the Torah. Hashem has proved himself, whoa, that whatever he says, you can count on his word. So now all of a sudden, come on, they're doubting God. How'd that happen? Whoa. Okay, that's a hard one. So you're right, it's a hard one. So yes, there are so many different ways we can answer this very hard question, including God gives man free will. Okay? And forgive me, some say that these, power, unfortunately, I don't want to use the word, but CORRUP, don't tell Janusz when it spills, but power corrupts. What does that mean? It means that they want to keep their job, and in a new place, in a new environment, maybe they won't. Okay, so that's one approach as to how they can do this. And unfortunately, the people panic. Okay, so, and the fact that, let's go back to page 944, that there's a panic. Whoa. Vatikravun Eli, go to 22 again. Kulchem, and you all came to me. So that's the written word. What is the oral tradition of these written words? Rashi tells you. First line of Rashi, right-hand column. Ooh, Be'irbuvia. Oh, you came to me. Vatomru, and you requested it. Nishlecha anoshim lefanenu. Let us send, come on, scouts, people before us, and let them, quote, spy out, however you want to interpret it. We'll see in a moment, the land, and let them get back to us. Now, what do you mean, let them get back to us? We know the whole thing is like, doesn't make sense. If on the one hand, come on, um, in the desert, they didn't need a scout, anybody to lead them. They had the Anan, like we just had in yesterday's Torah reading in Baaloscha, that when the cloud ascended, the Jewish people followed the cloud. Excuse me. When the cloud descended, they stopped traveling. Api Hashem Yachanu, Api Hashem Yisou, right? In accordance with the cloud. Did they go? Did they stop? So they're following God. We don't need us. So why do they need scouts in the first place? So these are such basic, important questions. And then how can they reject the report of Yoshua and Kalev? How could they listen? So let me just get right to the point. So I get to share with you some of Rav Soloveitchik's different twist on this event. Now, I remember one of my favorite expressions when I would, give drushos in Shomri Torah. I would quote a source and say it's worth buying the book just for this essay. So there are rather, 2 volumes of reflections of the Rav put out by a distinguished Rav, Abraham Bezdin of blessed memory, and he wrote up several, probably about 20 different classic shiurim of the Rav on Torah, and this is one of them. So basically, first of all, I want you to be troubled that there seems to be mixed messages coming from the Torah. Here goes. The beginning of this week's parasha, 798, it seems quite clear. This is all coming from God. God said, Moshe, send spies. And in 944, when Moshe is recounting Jewish history to the next generation, Moshe says very differently. You came to me and you said, let us send spies. So now says the next verse, 23, Vayitav b'nai hadavar. The idea was good in my eyes. What does that mean? The idea was good in my eyes. So here. So look at the Rashi. Once again, Rashi helps us. What does that mean it was good in Moshe's eyes? Moshe should have been disappointed. What do you mean you want to check on God? Is it really a good land? He said it's good. So Rashi says about 7, 8 lines down, right-hand column, Chav Gimel, Aita b'nei hadavar be'enai, in my eyes, but not in God's eyes. V'im b'nei Moshe yatov, and if in Moshe's eyes it's good, lama umra b'tochachos, so why is he rebuking? Mashal liodam, what could it be compared to? To a friend, to an individual who says to his buddy, Morchorli chamor chazeh, right? Sell me your donkey. Or, Mendy, you're selling your car. Okay, there's a for sale sign on your car. Look at the Rashi. Sell me your car. I'm Elohim. So Mendy says, yeah, my car is for sale. No snow atolilani soyon. Can I take it for a ride? Let me see how it drives. So look inside, look at the Rashi. I'm Elohim, sure. The very fact that you say to me, here are the keys, take it for a ride, I'm not necessarily going to do it. Why? Because the way you answered me so quickly, there was no reservation. You're not afraid that it's going to stall after a minute or two. You're not afraid that if I drive it up a hill, it's not going to make the hill. You have confidence in the, come on, you have confidence um, in the car. So the same thing over here, that you should have quote unquote confidence in the uh, in the animal that you're trying to buy, and therefore I'm not even going to take it for the spin. So the fact that Moshe says, "Okay, I have nothing to hide, nothing to hide. I'm sure it's going to be good." You see, sell me your here now. Behorim, could I take it up the mountain? Ugvaos and the valleys. Yeah. Since the person saw, the purchaser, she'ema akvo klum, that you have no hesitation, so the buyer says to himself, I'm sure it's good. I'm not going to find any problem. Okay? Same thing over here. In other words, Moshe is not afraid that it's going to be bad. So sure, you want to send. But that could have, should have by itself. Okay, so now let me introduce you to what the Rav is saying. Whoa. And this is a whole new approach to this. Like I said, it doesn't change the end result, but it's a very fresh perspective on this whole episode. If you've quote unquote heard it before, it's worth hearing it again. If you've not heard it before, then you should send me a lawyer's letter and said, Yudin, what took you so long to share this with us? Okay, so the first thing that the Rav is going to say is, how do you say spies in Hebrew? And that word is significantly missing, uh, come on, um, in here, in this week's Parsha, in 798, but it is very clear on 234. On page 234, we're in Miketz. The brothers come down. Look at the top line on 234, right? 42, verse 9. Joseph recalled the dreams that he dreamt about them. So he said to them, look at the Hebrew, second line down, first word, miraglim. Oh, now you're translating it right. Miraglim atem, you are spies. He accuses them of being spies, okay? And therefore he follows up. What's a spy? Liros es ervas ha'oretz bosem. To see the land's nakedness have you come, meaning to see the flaws, to find the weak spots. Ah, that's what a spy does. Now, the truth of the matter is unbelievable. I mean, hats off to when we say in the next Shemona Esrei, in the fourth bracha, Ato chonein le'odom das. Nathan, you ready, Booby? What does that mean? You, God, give man intelligence. So, and obviously, how do we use that intelligence? But if you look at the Mossad, at our CIA in Israel, and to think that for years and years and years, we have had our own people risking their lives and spying out Iran, seeing who their leaders are, seeing where they are, seeing who their scientists are, seeing where they are, and planning for this attack, not knowing when it would be. But with unfortunately, what the whole world has heard about their, trying to, uh, you know, concretize nuclear power. And therefore, God forbid, a people that stay very clearly, we want to destroy the land of Israel. So that famous expression, Hershon, is Haba l'hargacha, God forbid, someone that's coming to kill you, hashkem or go. You don't just sit there passively. You take the offensive, right? The best defense is a good offense. And this is what we've done. But wait a minute. Where did we know to strike? Where did we know to be able to get one floor in a building? And whatever floor number it was, the floor below, the floor above, not to, bomb out. Just that one floor. Unbelievable. Mika Amcha Yisrael. We didn't say, what do you expect? It's war, it's casualty, bomb the whole building. No, this is so incredible. So now, so if you were to ask me, have we had spies in Iran? Yes. The word is spy. Okay, somebody's just been marked late, but I won't tell you who it is, but we're appreciating you here. But listen very carefully. So the Torah knows how to use the word spy. Okay. So on the top of page 234, Yosef accuses the brothers of being miraglim. Now, go to the beginning of today's parsha, 798. Hashem says to Moshe, Shlach lecha anoshim, and even though he's pointed out that that's a very difficult idea because it's not coming from God, it is coming from the people. Hashem is going along with it. V'yosuru, this Eretz Canaan, and they shall. Rabbi Soloveitchik explained the word v'yosuru, not to spy, but to scout. Ooh, so I don't have a dictionary in front of me. If anybody wants, next time you come into my study, I'll show you I have a very heavy dictionary. And I mean heavy. It's probably at least close to 15 pounds. That's right. It's got, many, many pages. So I'm sure if we look up spy, S-P-Y, and scout, S-C-O-U-T, we're going to get a different understanding of the word. They're not synonymous. Spying is more of getting intelligence regarding military. So exactly. We've had spies in Iran telling us where to attack, how to attack. That's exactly what a spy is. And kol kavod to these Jews that have been risking their lives. Think about it. All these years. And we're talking about 20 years. Now, Janusz, listen carefully. Janusz reminded Chevy that when we were on the mission in 2003, we had several missions, Baruch Hashem, from Shomrei Torah, and Janusz was on all of them. So when who has a great love for Eretz Yisrael. So on one of the missions, we davened. I'll never forget this, and I'm so happy he reminded me of this. We davened on a Shabbos morning in the young Israel of the old city. Whoa. Now, the young Israel, Jay, you remember, Bobby? Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. Wow.
I
Unbelievable.
remember.
Okay. So you see that I'm not just fabricating this. Good girl. So watch, listen. So what does that mean? Janusz remembers that there were some gentlemen, veterans of different wars, even veterans of 48. There were, it was a very,
They make Kiddush for us.
well, forgive me, I forgot the Kiddush, but all
Well,
right.
they
Uh,
had Yerushalmi Kugel.
okay. All right. Janusz, 1 second. Is he right, Janusz? They're nice Kiddush. But listen carefully. But Janusz reminded us was that they said to him, hey, man, you want to know who our worst enemy is? Wow, they identified 20 years ago as being Iran. Sure enough. And so the bottom line is that here, Moshe doesn't say viraglu, the ragel, which is to spy, but viasuru. Now, Yasuru is to scout out. Scout out is to really see the land more than the strategic aspects of the land. So take a look. If you look about it, watch this. Here, go to verse 17. Vayishlach otzam Moshe. Moshe sends them losur again to literally scout the land of Canaan. Vayomar alehem. Here, aluze banegev alisem esohar. All right, go from ascend here to the south of the land, climb the mountain, and see the land. Watch. Arisem esoretz, see what the land is like. And the people, hayoshevo leha, the people that live on it. Hechozaku, are they strong people, or harafeh, or are they weak? Meaning, is the climate, are the people healthy people, or no, they're not so healthy people? Okay, we're talking about topography. We're not talking about missiles and warheads, and their capability for war. Watch. Hama'atu imrav. Are they a few or numerous? Meaning, is it a healthy environment to have children? Uma oretz, and the land. Ashehu yoshev ba, atovahi imra'a. Is it good or bad? What does that mean, is it good or bad? In other words, are the fruit good? Yeah. In other words, watch. I visited California on a few occasions. Never have I gone to the vineyards of California, but rumor has it, the same bottle of wine that you might buy in Indiana, if you were to buy a bottle of wine in California, you're going to pay more in California than you are in Indiana. Why? Because California, the land itself is good for grapes, good for wine. All right. That being the case, what type of land is this? Now, wait a second. If you are primarily concerned with safety and attacking an enemy, are you going to ask about the climate? Are you going to ask about the land? Is it good for grapes or not? Come on. These are agricultural questions, and these are not strategic questions. Whoa. So again, this is not Yudin. This is Rav Soloveitchik presenting a very different approach to what the sin of the spies were, and why we even have to have spies in a minute. Watch. And then Umoha Erim. And now, what about the cities? Perhaps this is the only question you can say maybe was related as well, but it's not the first one. Remember, related to security, because are they b'machanim im b'mivtzorim? Meaning, the cities, are they open? Meaning they're not protected. They don't need a wall around it to protect them. They're strong. No, they have walls around it because they're not so strong, they're afraid, etc. But once again, Uma Oretz, why are you asking spies about the land itself? Hashmeinohi, is it what? Fertile? Imraza, is it lean? Hayesh bo'etz, are there what? Trees in the land, meaning what's going on there? Vis chazaktem, ukachtem ipriya oretz, what kind of a spy, right? Could you imagine, Bibi talking to his, quote, spies in Iran, and he's asking, how they doing strategically, and they're going to answer, the fruits are good. Who asked you about the fruits? Who cares about the fruits? So I'm just pointing this out, and now listen carefully. Take a step back. The Gemara is in Kedushin, You ready, everybody? 40. Give me 1 second. I'll give you the exact daf because I don't want to. You ready? Kedushin 41a. Now watch this. Yossi, here goes. The Gemara in Kedushin says, now it's interestingly, the second chapter of the Gemara Kedushin is a very important, well, everything is important, but you're going to hear this is very important. Some things I have to do myself, other things I can do through an emissary. So watch. Excuse me. Let's say I was tired this morning. I say, Isla, you my friend? Sure. Let me see if you're really my friend. Isla, put on tefillin for me. What does that mean? Put on your own tefillin, take them off, and say, hello, God. Yudin is tired today. I'm putting on tefillin a second time, and please look upon my putting it on a second time as if Yudin is doing it. And the answer is we all know that that's not going to work. We all know that by your putting on tefillin even a second time, that cannot be accredited to me that I am putting on tefillin, okay? So in certain things we say shlichus. Shlichus means that you could have an emissary doing it for you. And in other areas, you can't have shlichus. Now watch this. God forbid, well, not always God, whatever. If there's a need to have a divorce, okay, a get. Now, sometimes the emotions swing from one extreme to the other, and the man says, okay, I'll give her a get, but I don't want to be in the same room. I don't want to be in the same room. And she says, you know what? I'll take a get, but I don't want to be in the same room. So guess what? Janusz could be the emissary, the shaliach of the man. And Yossi can be the shaliach of the woman. You ready? And when Janusz gives, listen carefully, everybody. I wouldn't fool you, not on a Sunday morning. When Janusz gives the piece of paper to Yossi, don't tell me his name is Yossi. No, 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 no. He is representing her, and Janusz is representing him. So one shaliach gives it to the other shaliach. It's like the man is giving it to his wife, and that's it. They are divorced. Unbelievable. That's called shlichus. Now, shlichus, like I told you, your emissary who is like you does not apply to tefillin, right? You can't put on two mezuzahs on your door, and the second one is for my house. That's crazy. You understand? Some things you must do yourself. So watch this. Be careful now. I've been dating a girl, okay, for a long time, and I like her, and she likes me, and we're getting married, and good. And all of a sudden, I forgot to tell you, oy, 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 either or, I don't, whatever the occasion is, but the night that we picked out to get married, all of a sudden, I have a very important meeting that night, which I really can't miss. So listen carefully. Janusz, you ready? Watch this. What are you doing Tuesday night? Nothing special. Oh, Janusz, here is the ring. Okay. I say, Janusz, take this ring and be at the hall at I don't know, about 6 o'clock for pictures. Just be there at 7 o'clock, for the chuppah. And under the chuppah, instead of me being there, you're there and you have a document that says, I, Benjamin Yudin, give Janusz the right to be I authorize him to be my shaliach. Listen carefully. And he puts the ring on her finger, but before he does, he says, Hareyat Mikudeshes. Now, if he's my good friend, he's going to say Hareyat Mikudeshes to Yudin. But if he's my roommate And I thought he was such a good friend. But he takes a look at my bride and says, Yudin is crazy. He's going to a meeting and giving up the opportunity to marry this wonderful woman. She's attractive, she's this, she's that, etc., etc. And if Janusz says, Harayat Mekudeshes Li, oh, to him, so he's he double crossed me. Okay. But if not, let's say Janusz is already married or whatever. Janusz says, Harayat Mekudeshes to Yudin. It's going to work. It's going to work. Why? Because I have seen the woman. Watch this. I know what it is. I really want to marry her. Maybe she'll give me a piece of her mind and she'll tell me that was not an appropriate thing to do. You should have been there yourself. Forget about all those maybes. But the bottom line is, can you have a shaliach? Whoa. So you know what the Talmud says? Listen to this. It works, Janusz, as I threw in a particular phrase a minute ago. If I've seen the woman, but let's say, for example, I say to Janusz, you're my best friend. Go and find me a woman, okay? Go and find me a woman. And I trust you. I trust you. And here's the ring. And where you find her, etc., take two gentlemen, put the ring on her finger. These are two witnesses, and say, Plonis, which means so and so. You are with this ring, you are married to Yudin. Says the Talmud, that's not good. It's not going to work. Why? Because, listen to this, it's a delicious idea. Osur, it's prohibited. Whoa. To marry a woman without seeing her first. The exact language of the Gemara is, listen carefully now, Osur la'adam, it's prohibited for a man, Shiakadesh eso isha, that he should marry a woman ad shiurena, until he sees her. He's heard such wonderful things about her, and maybe they're true, but you have to forgive me. Take a look at the merchandise first, because you want you have to. They base it on this verse. I kid you not. You have to kamocha, that she might be everything to everybody else, but if she doesn't, if there's no chemistry, if I'm not attracted to her, then we're in bad shape. So, ooh, you ready? Here's the punchline. Mendy, it paid to wait. Here it comes. Says the Rav. What's happening in this week's parsha is the Jewish people are wedding. Whoa, I'm not using it in as a come on, as a noun. I'm using it as a verb. They are wedding, to wed, to marry. We are marrying the land. Ooh, only the Rav can think of this. You're not allowed to marry a woman until you see her. Ah, so here the 12 princes representing the 12 tribes, each prince is like looking, oh, on behalf of my tribe. Oh, it's good. My tribe. It's good. So that's what hopefully Moshe was hoping. They would all come back and say, yes, we're in, we're in, we're in. Okay. And unfortunately, now, why would 12 great men, I don't want to say double cross, but why would 12 so act selfishly, etc.? These are very, very difficult questions. But the whole perspective as to what's going on here, whoa, is brilliant. That Rav Soloveitchik is suggesting that our relationship, excuse me, to the land of Israel is that we are quote unquote married to it. This is such a fresh idea. And the truth of the matter is, looking back over Jewish history, we know this is true. And we know that when, East Sorahi, when right now, especially this is so appropriate that we study this and realize that the bond between the Jewish people and the land of Israel is not a natural bond. It's not like a Frenchman to France and any other people to any other land. This whole idea that for the last 2,000 years, every Seder, every wedding, Lashana Haba Yerushalayim, wherever they were, all over the world, right? Imesh Kochech Yerushalayim. Amazing that King David, in his prophetic vision, right? The whole idea that Imesh Kochech will, now this was written by King David while he was alive, describing that there's going to be this pining, this yearning, this attraction to the land of Israel, even when we are in exile. And funny you should ask, don't tell me we're in the fourth book now, the book of Bamidbar. What's my favorite verse in the whole book of Vayikra? My favorite verse is that God says, when you are in exile, I will keep the land desolate. And sure enough, it was desolate. Unbelievable. And look what's happening today. So there's no question we're going through challenging, difficult times. And lo aleinu, when you're at war, unfortunately, there's price that we have to pay, but we look at, quote unquote, the bigger picture, and we are assured that as we have been successful and the words of the Nevi'im have come true in our day, not yet completely, Emetz Hashem, very soon it will be completely come true in our day as well. So this is Rev. Soloveitchik's fascinating approach that they were sent not as spies, but as scouts. And unfortunately, really at the last minute, because when the Torah tells us, here, go back to the beginning of 798, very strange. Take a look, verse 3. Moshe sent them forth from the wilderness of Paran. They were all distinguished men. It already says in verse 2, send men. Now in verse 3, again, kulam anoshim. So if you're going to be tough, verse 2 says send men. So what's it saying again? They were men and not women. And for the woman who came late, I'm not going to say who it is, but just take a look at the Klei Yakar. But the Klei Yakar says that Moshe, had he sent women, this never would have happened. Amazing, because the women are more loyal to the land of Israel. I want you to know, before I quoted this Klei Yakar, I called Rabbi Fass. Rabbi Fass is the head of Nefesh B'Nefesh, who married a fair-lawn girl. Oh, so sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. In this case here, if you know his wife, you get it in to him. So if you have trouble, going on Aliyah, if you're nice to me, I'll try to be nice to you and get you to speak to Rabbi Fass himself, direct. So I asked Rabbi Fass, tell me, in your meeting with families going on Aliyah over the years, could you say that there's one gender that maybe might have been more forceful or more reliant on, to take the chance, to take the plunge? It's not easy. It's very easy, for us, to say go on Aliyah, but it's not easy. So many factors. And he really did agree that more often the women were helpful, and that's right, You can go out, Lainey, you're finished now. But it's true. Now, I want you to know you have this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. One more place. Come on. Where's that? In Matos. Come on. 1 second. Matos or Masse? Probably Masse. Okay. 1 second. Where the daughters of Slavchad come and they oh wait, no, it's not. It should be in Pinchas. Hold on, let's see. Just 1 second. 1 second. Yes. Yeah. Page 886. Second. Let's go. Okay. So watch. You ready? So here. 886, the beginning of chapter 27. So you have 5 verses of introduction. Whoa. And it goes 1 through 11. Wow. Take a look. In the margin, 888, 887. The grievance of Tzlavchad's daughters and the laws of inheritance. So the laws of inheritance were given to Moshe to give to the Jewish people, starting with verse 7. But instead of saying, watch, here, Hashem says to Moshe, verse 6, the daughters of Tzlavchad speak properly, meaning they have no brothers, and according to Jewish law, it's the sons that inherit the father and not the daughters. And now there are no sons. What do we do? Good question. So the daughters of Tzlavchad speak properly when they say we don't want to lose out, but not because they want money or land, because they want have a love for the land of Israel. Take a look at the very top line of Rashi. Loma Nemar, okay, Valo Kvar Nemar ben Menashe, why ben Yosef, Lomar Lucha. Yosef Chibev Esa Oretz. Yosef loved the land because before he dies, he says, take my bones and bury them in Israel. Ubenosov, last word, second line down, his daughters, meaning his great-great-granddaughters, chibabu esa oretz. They had love for the land. And Rashi tells us on the next column that in verse 5, these laws should have been written in the Torah very simply. God said to Moshe, these are the laws. If a man has no sons, the daughters inherit the father. Good. No, the Torah tells you the daughters of Tzlavchad speak properly. You shall surely give them a possession of inheritance among the brothers of their father, right? Meaning as part of their uncles, together with their uncles, because there is no actual brother, but they are together with their uncles. And you shall cause the inheritance of their father to pass over to them. Whoa. And the question was, Tzlavchad was a Bechor. Do they get Pishnayim? And the answer is, watch, Nason Titain. Oh, there it is. In verse 7, we can spend all day on this. I'm sorry if I'm running over now. But the bottom line is, we see clearly that the law of inheritance was given through the daughters of Tzlafchad because they had love for the land. And that's what our rabbis are telling us, that the women of Israel had or have greater love for the land than even the men, because maybe the women have greater faith than the men. Okay, whatever it is, we're going to stop here and just know that this is a very challenging parsha. And King David, ooh, here's homework. If you have time today, take out Psalm 106. And while we are saying Tehillim for Eretz Yisrael, there are 150 chapters of Tehillim. Everyone is good. I'm sorry, it's a mistake. It's not 10, maybe it is. 1 second. Yes, it is 106. I'm right. So 106 in the Art Scroll Siddur is found at 1026 in the back. And if you look at the left-hand column on 1026, whoa, approximately 2/3 down the page, the line begins with Vayim Asu Be'eretz Chemda. Oh, I don't want to close on this note, but 106 is a summary of our being in the desert. It's a very, very significant chapter, 106. And here, King David uses 3 words, which are not a nice word. The first word, Vayim Asu, means
Rejected.
what's the word? No, who said rejected?
I did.
Oy, oy, oy.
Well, they're like abandoning.
No, no, no. You are too kind. You are too nice.
Disgusted.
Ah, that's the only word. Ouch. I wouldn't say it. If for somebody else to say it. But that's just what it is. That's correct. Like mius. Ouch. So Vayim Asu Be'eretz Chemda is, it's not simply that they rejected. Okay, no, instead of buying a Plymouth, I buy a Chevy. Okay, but no, the Vayim Asu is, it's a strong rejection. It's
Right.
okay, yeah, but in other words, even I think the word reject is a little too soft. It means that you were disgusted with. Okay, we're stopping over here, but it's like I said, it's a very powerful chapter 106. So when you read it today and study it today, this can work for us on 2 levels. We learn the lesson therefrom, and we can, plug it in that today we are hopefully learning from, and that's why, whoa. I know Mendy just cut me off, terminate the Zoom. But listen carefully. Whoa. No delecha Hashem Elokeinu. Listen to this. Al shin chalto lavoseinu eretz chemda. Okay, I don't know what chemda means. So Laney says, Yudin, how do you know not what chemda means? What's the 10th commandment? Lo Sachmod. Chemda and Sachmod are very much related. What does Lo Sachmod mean? I shouldn't be jealous of what you have. It's yours. I shouldn't covet it. So Eretz Chemda means a land that is coveted. Ah, the whole world wants Israel. Why? That's it. We'll end on a positive note. Everybody have a good day. We should have
Happy Father's Day.
Oh my God.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
To all the fathers.
I missed it. At the end of davening today, I said, Hayom Yom Rishon. Okay, but okay. Thank you. Baruch
Thank
Hashem.
you, Rabbi.
Thank
No.
you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
See you, Rabbi.
Excellent.
Okay. Have a good night, good day, everybody.
Okay,
Okay.
night,
Yeah.
day,
Two
Bye-bye.
good night for me.
it's all the same.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Janusz, have a wonderful day.
You too, Rabbi. You too. Everybody. Thank you.
Okay, Yanish, be good. We miss you, as
I
usual.
miss you too. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.